The wind moved slowly across the broken land, carrying dust and smoke. The sky was dark, full of heavy clouds that hid the sun. Rocks and ruins covered the ground, once part of homes and farms, now only shadows of a lost world. A single sound cut through the silence, a weak cry, soft but full of pain. A woman was kneeling in the dust, her arms around a small bundle. Her skin was pale, almost glowing in the dim light, her eyes wide and tired. She was not human. Her face was different, sharp lines and soft silver veins glowing under her skin. But her fear, her love, her sorrow, those were the same as any mother. She held her baby close, the child wrapped in torn cloth. The little one's eyes glowed faint blue, half open, weak and hungry. The baby had not eaten for days. The mother whispered again and again, "My milk is gone, human. My baby will not survive. Please help us." Not far away, a man stood still, his boots sinking in the dust. He had heard the cry. He had followed it through the ruins. Now he watched the strange figure in front of him, an alien mother begging in the dirt. He felt his chest tighten, unsure if this was a trick, unsure if he should move closer. He remembered the stories. Aliens had fought against humans in past wars, battles that left both sides bleeding. Many of his own friends had died fighting these beings. He had been told never to trust them, never to look into their eyes. But now, in front of him, there was no army, no weapon, only a mother and her starving child. The human's hand moved to his belt, where a pack of rations hung. It was all he had left for the long road ahead. His mind screamed at him to be careful, to walk away. But his heart, his human heart, felt something he could not ignore. The mother looked up, her eyes full of tears. She saw the food in his hand and shook her head. "My child cannot eat that," she whispered. "You." The mother stared at him, surprised by the question. For a moment she did not speak, as if she could not believe his words. Then slowly, she whispered the truth that would change everything. "Your kind carries what my child needs. Human milk, human life. It can save him." The man froze. Her words struck him like fire. He had never heard anything like it before. Could it be true? Was this mother lying? Or was there a secret connection between their species? The baby gave another weak cry, and the sound was like a knife in his chest. He looked at the mother, at the child, at the ruins all around them, and he knew one thing for certain. This was no trick, no trap. This was a cry for help. And the choice he made here, now, would change the future forever. The human's heart beat heavy inside his chest. The alien mother's words kept echoing in his mind. "Human milk. It can save him," she had said. It sounded impossible. It sounded strange, yet the look in her eyes was too real to ignore. He stood frozen for a long moment, the wind brushing against his face, carrying the smell of ash and stone. He stared at the child, a tiny creature with glowing eyes half closed, chest rising and falling like a fading candle. Something inside him twisted, part fear, part pity, part anger. Why was he here? Why was he the one to hear this cry for help? The human had seen death before, too many times. He had fought in the wastelands, seen villages burned. He had heard the screams of children, both human and alien, when war took everything. He had learned to walk past suffering, to keep moving, because to stop meant death. Yet now his feet would not move. He looked at the alien mother again. Her skin glowed faint silver, her hair tangled with dust, her hands trembling as she held her child. She looked weak, fragile, but her eyes burned with fire, the fire of a mother who would not let go. She was not his enemy now. She was simply a mother standing at the edge of despair. The human touched the ration pack at his belt again. He wanted to throw it to her, to feel he had done his part. But he remembered her words. Her child could not eat human food. His frustration grew. His hands tightened into fists. He wanted to help, but he did not know how. "Why me?" he whispered to himself, his voice lost in the wind. The mother's eyes lifted at the sound. She thought he was speaking to her. "Because you are human," she said softly, almost as if she had heard his thought. "Your kind is strong. Your kind carries life in ways my people cannot. You are different. You are hope." Her words cut into him like a blade. He wanted to argue, to shout that she was wrong, that humans were no saviors. He had seen humans kill as easily as aliens. He had seen cruelty in his own kind. But the baby's cry silenced his anger. It was not a loud cry, but a weak, dying sound. It reminded him of a clock ticking down, seconds slipping away. The human felt fear crawl up his spine. If he gave himself, if he tried to help this alien child, what if it killed him? What if she was lying and he was feeding an enemy's trap? He thought of his mission, of survival, of how far he still had to go. Could he really risk everything for a child not of his own kind? He turned away for a moment, looking out across the wasteland. The mountains in the distance were dark shapes against the sky. Smoke rose from broken cities, the air heavy with silence. This was not a world of hope. This was a graveyard of broken promises. But then he remembered. He remembered his little sister, lying weak in a hospital bed many years ago. She had been human, frail, her small hand clutching his as machines beeped around her. He had whispered to her, "I will not let you go," and though she had not survived, those words had never left him. He had failed her once. Could he fail this child too? The alien mother lowered her head, whispering words in her own language. The human did not understand, but he felt the meaning in her voice. It was prayer. It was begging. It was the sound of a soul breaking. She lifted her face again and looked at him with eyes full of tears. "Human, please," she said, "do not let my baby die. If you walk away, he will be gone before the next sun. If you stay, if you give him what he needs, he will live." His throat tightened, his breath heavy. He felt the weight of choice pressing down on him. The war had taught him to see aliens as monsters. But here, in front of him, was no monster. Here was a mother. Here was a child. Here was life asking him for mercy. He knelt slowly, his knees pressing into the dust. The mother gasped softly, hope flickering in her tired eyes. He looked at the child closely, saw the thin arms, the pale lips, the fading breath. For the first time, he touched the baby's hand. It was warm, weak, trembling against his finger. A spark shot through his chest. This was no enemy. This was innocence. The human closed his eyes and took a deep breath. Every part of him screamed danger, screamed foolishness, but his heart, his human heart, whispered louder, "Save him." When he opened his eyes again, he spoke, his voice calm. "I will try," he said. The mother's tears fell freely, but her lips formed a smile of hope, a smile of life. The human did not know if he was making the right choice. He did not know if this act would save the child or destroy them all. But he knew one thing, he could not turn away, not now, not ever. And so the human, once a soldier, once an enemy, became something else. He became the last chance for a starving alien child. The dilemma was over, the choice was made, the path ahead was dangerous, full of shadows, but he had chosen to walk it, and the future of two worlds began to change. With one single step, the night came slowly. The human and the alien mother sat near the ruins of an old stone wall. The wind was cold, carrying the smell of smoke and burned metal. The baby slept weakly in her arms, but each breath sounded thinner than the last. The human watched them in silence, his mind restless. He had said he would help, but he did not know how. The words of the alien mother still echoed inside him. "Your kind carries what my baby needs. Your milk, your life. It can save him." It sounded impossible. Humans and aliens were different, their bodies built for different worlds. How could something from him, from his people, save this fragile child? Yet her eyes had been full of truth. He wanted to believe, but doubt still burned in his heart. The mother looked at him, her face pale in the moonlight. "You think I lie?" she whispered, her voice soft but sharp. "You think I am using you, but I will show you, human. I will tell you what others never dared to say." The human said nothing, but his eyes narrowed, waiting. The mother closed her eyes, breathing deep as if pulling courage from the dark sky above. "When the first war between our people began," she said, "we believed you were only destroyers, but our elders discovered something different, something they tried to hide. The human leaned closer, his pulse quickening. "What secret?" he asked, his voice low. The mother opened her eyes again, silver veins glowing faintly under her skin. "Your kind is different," she said. "You are not the strongest, not the fastest, not the most advanced, but your bodies carry something rare. Your life force is richer than ours. Your blood, your milk, even your tears. They hold energy that my people cannot create. For us, it is poison to fight you, but it is salvation to drink from you." The human froze. He felt his stomach twist at her words. Part of him wanted to deny it, call her mad. But another part remembered old whispers, stories of wounded aliens who healed strangely when close to humans. Could it be true? The mother looked down at her baby, brushing his thin cheek with trembling fingers. "Our children are weak now," she continued. "The war destroyed our farms. The air turned bitter. Mothers like me have no milk left. Our bodies are dry, but human milk, human life, it can bring strength back to their blood. It can keep them alive." The human felt the weight of her words press on him. He looked at the baby again, its small chest rising unevenly. His heart tightened. If she spoke truth, then he was the only hope for this child. If she lied, then he was walking into danger. Either way, the choice was his. "Why tell me this?" he asked finally, his voice heavy. "If your people knew, they would use it. They would steal from us. Why risk yourself to tell a stranger?" The mother lifted her head, her eyes bright with pain. "Because I am a mother before I am anything else," she said. "I do not care about war. I do not care about hate. I care only for this child in my arms. If I must beg a human, I will beg. If I must die, I will die, but I will not let him starve while I still breathe." Her words struck him harder than any weapon. For a moment, he felt small, as if he was standing before something greater than war or fear. A truth that lived in all creatures, the love of a mother. The baby stirred, giving a weak cry. The human's chest ached. He remembered again his little sister's hand in his own, the promise he had failed to keep. He clenched his fists, staring at the ground. This time he would not fail. But another thought rose in him, darker and heavier. If what she said was true, then humans were more than soldiers in this war. They were resources. They were food. The idea chilled him. What if her people, desperate and starving, began to hunt humans not as enemies, but as cattle? He looked at her sharply. "If others hear this secret, what will they do?" he asked. Her face went pale, her lips trembling. "They would not stop," she whispered. "They would take. They would steal. They would drain your kind dry. That is why our elders hid the truth. They feared it. They feared it would destroy both our species." The human felt the night grow colder. The baby cried again, soft and fading. The mother pulled him close, rocking gently, whispering words of comfort. Her voice broke with every sound. She was running out of time. He stood, pacing in the dust, his hands shaking. His mind was a storm. Danger, compassion, fear, hope. He wanted to run, to escape this heavy burden, but he could not. The child's cry bound him here, stronger than chains. At last, he stopped and turned. He looked at the mother, at the baby, at the dying world around them. "I do not know if I believe your secret," he said, his voice rough. "But I believe your pain." He stepped closer, kneeling once more. "If I must be your hope, then so be it. But know this, if you betray me, if you use me, I will not forgive you." The mother lowered her head, tears falling onto the baby's cloth. "I swear on his life," she whispered. "I will never betray you, human. You are all I have left." The baby's cry faded into quiet breathing. The human reached out and touched the child again. This time, there was no doubt in his touch. He had accepted the truth. The secret of the alien mother was now his burden, and with it came a dangerous path, one that could save or doom them all. The first light of dawn spread across the broken land. The human rose from the ground, his body stiff from the cold night. Beside him, the alien mother cradled her baby, who still breathed but weaker than before. Every sound the child made reminded him that time was running out. The mother's secret haunted his thoughts. Humans carried something powerful in their blood and milk, something her kind could not create. It explained why she had begged him, why she had looked at him not as an enemy, but as a lifeline. But it also filled him with fear. If others discovered this truth, humans would no longer be soldiers. They would be hunted like animals. He kept his eyes on the horizon. The land stretched wide with dust, stone, and ruins. In the far distance, dark mountains rose, hiding rivers and forests where food might still exist. If they could reach those places, the baby might survive. But the journey would be long and full of danger. The mother stood slowly, her legs shaking. She held the baby close and turned her silver eyes toward the human. "Where will we go?" she asked, her voice weak but steady. He did not answer at once. His mind argued with itself. Why should he risk everything for her and her child? But his heart, heavy and stubborn, whispered that walking away was no longer possible. "At the edge of the mountains," he said finally, "there are streams, caves, places where we can hide. We must move before the sun grows hot." The mother nodded, saying nothing, but her face softened with quiet trust. They began to walk. The land around them was empty, but silence did not mean safety. Shadows moved in the distance, scavengers and raiders hunting for anything alive. Every few steps the human scanned the horizon, his hand close to the knife at his belt. The baby stirred and cried softly. The mother rocked him, whispering words in her own language. The human lay, steamed, surprised by how gentle her voice sounded. He had always thought of aliens as harsh, as cold. But now he heard the same music his own mother once used when he was a child. A mother's voice was the same across worlds. Hours passed. The sun climbed higher. Their feet sank into dust, and their throats burned with thirst. The human offered his canteen, holding it out carefully. The mother hesitated, staring at it. Then she drank a little and gave the rest to the baby, wetting his lips. The child swallowed weakly, and for a moment color returned to his face. The human felt something shift inside him. It was not anger, not fear. It was respect. This woman, though alien, thought of her child before herself. She gave away her last strength for him, and in her eyes, he saw no lies, only love. As they walked deeper into the wasteland, danger followed them. At midday, they heard voices, harsh, angry, echoing across the rocks. The human grabbed the mother's arm and pulled her behind a ruined wall. Peering out, he saw 3 figures moving along the path, aliens armed with metal staffs, their faces sharp and cruel. The mother's body shook with fear, her grip on the baby tightening. "They are hunters," she whispered. "If they see you with me, they will kill us all." The human's jaw clenched. He had fought before, but now it was not only his life at risk, it was hers, and the child's. He lowered his voice. "Stay here, do not move." Then he stepped out, hands raised, pretending to be alone. The raiders stopped, their eyes narrowing. "A human?" one hissed. "Lost and alone." They laughed, stepping closer. But before they could strike, a sharp stone flew through the air, hitting the leader's arm. The raider cursed and turned. Behind the wall, the alien mother stood, holding another stone in her trembling hand. Her eyes blazed with fire. "Stay away!" she shouted, her voice synced. Wrong for the first time. The human's heart leapt. She had risked herself to protect him. In that moment, he saw not just desperation, but courage. Before the raiders could recover, he charged forward, knife flashing. A short fight followed, rough and bloody. By the time it ended, the raiders fled limping into the wasteland, leaving only silence behind. The human returned, breathless, his hands stained. The mother stood shaking, but alive. The baby cried in her arms, frightened by the noise. For a moment, they looked at each other, and no words were needed. They had protected each other. They were no longer strangers. They were bound by survival. As the sun set, they found a broken shelter. The human lit a small fire from scraps of wood. The mother sat close, holding her baby near the warmth. She looked at him across the flames, her eyes softer now. "You could have left me," she whispered. "You could have let them take me, but you stayed." The human stared into the fire, silent. At last, he said, "I gave my word. I will not walk away from your child." The mother bowed her head, her silver hair glowing in the firelight. "Then I will trust you, human," she said. "My life, my son's life, they are in your hands." The night grew dark around them, but inside the shelter a fragile bond had formed. Not of war, not of fear, but of trust. And though danger waited outside, something stronger had begun to grow between them. A human and an alien mother, walking a road neither could walk alone. The days that followed were heavy. The human and the alien mother walked through ruined valleys and broken roads. The baby clung weakly to life. Each day a battle against hunger and cold, but something else had begun to grow. Trust, fragile but real. The human shared his water, his fire, his strength. The mother gave her courage, her watchful eyes, her prayers whispered in the night. They had saved each other from raiders, and though danger still circled them, neither could imagine walking alone anymore. But the world was not blind. Others had seen them. Whispers spread through the wasteland. A human and an alien traveling together, enemies walking as if bound by blood. For some, it was a story of wonder. For others, it was reason for hate. One evening, as the sun dipped red behind jagged rocks, the small group found shelter in an old outpost, its walls cracked, its roof half gone, but enough to shield them from the cold wind. The baby slept wrapped in cloth, his tiny chest rising slow but steady. The mother rested beside him. The human sat near the doorway, knife in hand, listening to the silence. The silence broke. Voices echoed outside, rough and sharp. He stood quickly, his heart pounding. Shadows moved across the dust. 5 figures stepped into the open, their weapons glinting in the dying light. They were aliens, but not like the mother. Their armor was dark, their eyes cold. Hunters, the same kind who had once raided villages for supplies and blood. The leader stepped forward, sneering when he saw the human. "So it is true," he hissed, "a human dog walking with one of our women." The mother gasped, pulling her baby close. "Please," she whispered, "do not harm us." The leader laughed, his voice cruel. "You shame your kind," he spat at her. "And you, human, you are either a fool or a traitor." The human gripped his knife tighter, his body tense. He had fought before, but 5 against 1 was a death sentence. Still, he stepped forward, placing himself between the mother and the hunters. "If you want her, you go through me," he said firmly. The hunters laughed again, circling closer, but before they could strike, another voice cut through the night. "Enough!" it roared. From the shadows, another figure appeared. Tall, cloaked, with scars running across his face. An elder alien, older and heavier, carrying no weapon but a staff. The hunters froze, lowering their eyes. The elder walked slowly forward and looked at the mother, then at the child, then at the human. "What madness is this?" he asked, his voice low but powerful. The mother bowed her head, tears glistening in her eyes. "This human saved us," she said. "He gave his strength when no one else would. Without him, my baby would already be gone." The elder studied the human, his dark eyes unreadable. At last, he spoke. "The war taught us to see humans as killers, but perhaps we saw only half the truth." He turned to the hunters, his voice sharp. "Go, leave them. This is no time for more blood." The hunters hesitated, anger burning in their faces, but none dared disobey. Slowly, they stepped back into the night, vanishing into the dust. The mother looked at the elder, her voice trembling. "Why did you help us?" The elder sighed, his face heavy with years of sorrow. "Because once, long ago, a human saved me too," he said. "Not all enemies are monsters. Some carry light where we see only darkness." The human felt a weight lift from his chest, but he also felt new questions rising. If others began to see this bond, what would it mean? Would they see hope, or would they see betrayal? The elder stepped closer, resting a hand on the mother's shoulder. "Protect your child," he said. "And you, human, protect your heart, for many will not understand. They will call you enemy. They will call you traitor. But if your path is true, walk it without fear." That night, as the fire burned low, the human sat awake, staring at the stars. He thought of the Hunter's hatred, the elder's warning, the mother's desperate trust. He knew the road ahead was no longer just about survival. It was about choice, about standing between two worlds that hated each other, and perhaps about proving that trust could grow even in a wasteland. The baby stirred, giving a weak cry. The mother soothed him with quiet words. The human turned to watch them. In their faces, he saw something worth fighting for, not just survival, but a future. Enemies had tried to break them, but allies had appeared in the most unlikely places. And now, as the night wrapped around them, the human understood that this journey was bigger than himself. It was about a promise, one he had made not with words, but with his heart, to protect a child who should not have lived, and to walk beside a mother who should have been his enemy. The next morning, the air was colder than before. The baby's breathing had grown shallow, his tiny chest rising with effort. The mother's eyes were red from crying, her hands shaking as she rocked him. Every sound from the child's mouth was weaker than the last. The human knew the truth. They were running out of time. He crouched near the fire, staring at his hands, hands that had fought wars, hands that had killed, and now these same hands were expected to bring life. The mother's words still echoed in his mind. "Your kind carries what my child needs. Your life can save him." He did not understand how. He was no doctor, no healer, but he remembered the small kit tied to his pack. It was old army medical gear, filled with tools he barely used anymore. Bandages, needles, tubes, and one small device meant to filter blood for transfusions. He pulled it out slowly, staring at it in the dim light. Could it work? Could his blood, his strength, really feed the child? The thought chilled him, but the baby's weak cry cut through his fear. He looked at the mother, who held her child as if the world could steal him away any second. Her eyes met his, full of pain but also hope. "You must try," she whispered, "or he will not see another night." His chest tightened. He had faced death many times, but this felt heavier. This was not about his survival, it was about a child's. He set the kit down, cleaning the old needle as best he could. Then he took a deep breath and slid the sharp point into his own arm. Blood flowed into the tube, red and warm. The mother gasped softly, holding her baby closer. The human's face grew pale, but his hands stayed steady. He guided the flow carefully, dripping his blood into a small filter. The liquid thinned, changed, then dripped into a cloth soaked with water. He pressed it gently to the baby's lips. At first, nothing happened. Then the child's mouth moved, swallowing slowly. The human's heart leapt. The mother cried out softly, tears falling onto her baby's face. He drinks, she whispered, her voice breaking. The baby swallowed again, color beginning to return to his cheeks. It was faint, fragile, but real. The human felt weakness spreading in his arms, but relief filled his chest. It was working. For hours they repeated the process, small drops at a time. The human gave carefully, never too much. The mother cradled the child, rocking him, whispering blessings in her language. By nightfall, the baby slept soundly, his breathing stronger than before. The mother kissed his forehead again and again. "You saved him, human," she whispered. "You gave him back to me." The human leaned back against the wall, exhausted, his body weak. He closed his eyes, listening to the sound of the baby's steady breath. For the first time in days, it did not sound like death. It sounded like life, but deep in his mind, darker thoughts stirred. If one child could be saved like this, then many could. If others discovered this secret, what would they do? Would humans be hunted not only as enemies, but as resources? The idea filled him with dread. Still, he looked at the sleeping baby, and thought, one life was worth it. That night, the mother sat across from him by the fire. Her face glowed in the orange light, her silver veins shimmering softly. She looked at him with eyes full of gratitude. "I thought I had lost everything," she said. "My people, my home, my hope. But Because of you. I have my child." The human shook his head, his voice rough. "You would have done the same for me." The mother smiled faintly, her tears glistening. "Perhaps, but you are the first human who has ever held my people's life above your own, and I will never forget it." Silence settled between them, not heavy, but warm. The human stared into the flames. For the first time since the war, he did not feel like only a soldier. He felt something else, something better. Not a destroyer, not a killer, but a protector. The baby stirred in his sleep, making a soft sound. The mother bent and kissed him, whispering again. Then she looked at the human, her voice soft but steady. "You are not only his savior," she said. "You are my ally, my friend." The word struck him. Friend. It felt strange on his tongue. He had lost so many to war, lost so many to hatred, and yet, here in the ruins, he had gained something unexpected. An ally, a bond, a fragile trust between species once sworn to kill each other. The fire burned low. The stars stretched wide above them. The human closed his eyes, his body aching but his heart strangely at peace. The baby's survival had changed everything, not just for the mother, not just for him, but perhaps for two worlds that no longer believed in mercy. And as he drifted into sleep, one thought carried him forward. If a single child's life could be saved by human hands, then maybe, just maybe, there was hope left for them all. The morning sun rose slow over the wasteland. Its golden light spread across broken stone, burned forests and shattered roads. But for the first time in many days, the human felt the warmth of hope. The baby in the alien mother's arms no longer gasped for life. His breaths were steady, his cheeks touched with color. The mother held him close, her eyes wet with relief. She had not slept, but her smile was soft, filled with love. The human watched them in silence, tired yet calm. The weight on his heart was lighter now, though the secret they carried was heavier than ever. They walked again, leaving the ruins behind. The land was cruel, but their steps felt different. No longer were they only running from death. Now they were walking toward a future. Each step was bound by trust, fragile but real. But the world around them had already begun to stir. Whispers of their journey had spread. Some aliens saw the human as a symbol of betrayal. Others began to whisper of a miracle, a child saved by the very enemy they once hated. And somewhere far away, humans too would hear of it, a story too strange to believe, but too powerful to ignore. At midday, they reached the edge of a valley where water still flowed. The sound of the stream was like music after days of silence. The mother bent to fill her hands, giving water to her child. The baby drank and gave a soft laugh, the first sound of joy since they had begun. The human stood watching, his chest tight. That laugh, fragile and pure, was worth more than any victory in war. But peace did not come so easily. From the far side of the valley, a group appeared. Aliens again. But this time, they carried banners instead of weapons. Some looked at the human with suspicion, others with wonder. At their head walked the scarred elder who had once spared them. He raised his hand, calling for silence. Then he spoke, his voice heavy but strong. Word has spread. A child lives because of a human. A mother walks beside one she once called enemy. Tell me, human. Tell me, mother. Is this true? The mother stepped forward, holding her baby high. Her voice shook but did not break. Yes, she said, this human gave what no one else could. He gave his own life to feed my child. Without him, my son would be gone, and I would be only another broken mother in the dust. The crowd stirred, whispers rising like waves. Some looked angry, others moved to tears. The elder turned his gaze to the human. And you? He asked. Why would you save one not of your kind? Why risk your life for those who once tried to kill you? The human's jaw tightened. He thought of his sister, of promises long broken. He thought of the baby's tiny hand gripping his finger. At last he spoke, his words plain and steady. Because no child deserves to die hungry, not human, not alien. Because war took too much already, and if I can give life, even to one child, then I must. Silence followed, deep and heavy. The elder studied him, his face unreadable. Then, slowly, he bowed his head. There is truth in your words, he said. Perhaps more truth than all our battles ever gave us. The mother clutched her child, tears falling again. The crowd stirred louder, divided voices filling the air. Some cried out in anger, "Traitor, he will make us weak." Others cried with hope, "Maybe this is the path we need." The humans stood still, letting their voices rise. He did not need their approval. He had already chosen his path, but he also knew this. The story of one saved child could grow into something greater, or it could spark even more hatred. The elder raised his staff, calling for silence again. "This moment will be remembered," he said, "whether as the beginning of peace or the start of new war. That choice belongs not to me, nor to you, but to the generations that will come, and perhaps to this child, who lives because of a human." The baby laughed again, as if mocking the weight of their words. The sound was small, but it carried far in the still valley. The crowd fell quiet, listening, for in that laugh was no war, no hate. Only life. That night, as the stars shone above, the human sat by the fire with the mother and her child. The baby slept peacefully, his tiny hand resting against the human's arm. The mother looked across the flames, her eyes filled with gratitude. "You changed more than my son's fate," she said softly. "You changed mine, and maybe you changed the future of both our people." The human did not answer at once. He only looked at the child, then at the stars, and deep inside, he felt something he had not felt in years. Hope. Hope that maybe tomorrow did not have to be a battlefield. Hope that maybe trust could grow, even here in broken lands. And as the fire burned low, the human closed his eyes, knowing the path ahead would still be dangerous, but also knowing that he was no longer walking it alone. A human, an alien mother and her child. Enemies once, now bound by trust. A new beginning, fragile as a child's laugh, but powerful enough to change the world.